This is the first pile of books that I read. Hi, everybody say hi. But here's the thing, it's not the only pile. Hi, say hello. Ooh, say hello to my little friends. Hi. So these are all the books that I read in the month of March. Maybe reading 22 books in 1 month is what got me sick. I don't know if you can tell by the sound of my voice or by the fact that I look like a corpse, but I am sick currently. Thank you. Why did I just say thank you? I don't know. Anyways, being sick doesn't mean that the grind stops. It never does. So I just wanted to go through all of the books that I read in the month of March. I do have quite a good range of books. I have like rereads, I have new favorites, I have 5 stars all across the board. So March was definitely a great reading month for me, but before we can get into the books that I read, I did want to thank the sponsor of this week's video, which is none other than Book of the Month. Book of the Month has been a great supporter of myself and my channel, and they have helped me expand my horizons in terms of reading, and they've helped me find books that I never would have found otherwise. So of course I need to talk to you guys about them. Book of the Month is a super popular and fast-growing online book service for readers like you and me. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books they are bound to love. Their team vets hundreds of books to give us a monthly selection of new and early release titles, so we can spend more time reading and less time researching. Book of the Month is also risk-free. You can skip any month, any time, and you will not be charged. They also have the best price for new release hardcover fiction. You can get your first book for just $9.99 with the code GETFUN. Let's take a look at the 5 picks for April. True Biz by Sarah Novick. Described as a love letter to the deaf community, this book examines the ways language can include, exclude, or help forge an identity, as well as what it means to carve out a place for yourself in a world that sees you as other. The Good Left Undone by Adriana Trigiani, a lush, immersive novel about 3 generations of Tuscan artists with one remarkable secret. Like a Sister by Kelly Garrett. No one bats an eye when a Black reality TV star is found dead in the Bronx, except her estranged half-sister whose refusal to believe the official story leads her on a dangerous search for the truth. Bittersweet by Suzanne Cain, a non-fiction book that explores how the most heartbreaking times and even the most tragic circumstances we face in life can lead us to greatness. And finally, Kayaki by Vaishnavi Patel, described as a feminist queer reimagining of one of the most vilified women in Hindu mythology. This is the story of an extraordinary woman determined to leave her mark in a world where gods and men dictate the shape of things to come. Remember to check bookofthemonth.com and get your first hardcover book for only $9.99 using the code GETFUN. Without further ado, let's get into all of the books that I read in the month of March. I started the month pretty successfully, if I do say so myself. I read a chunker of a book, and that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This has 751 pages, and I did officially start this in February, but I ended up finishing it, I think, the 1st or 2nd week of March. It did sort of feel like this was putting me on like an extreme reading slump because I just I wasn't finding it fun to read, and every time that I picked up this book, I was just like, why am I doing this to myself? I hate this character. I cannot stand her point of view, and we spend so much time with her. It's kind of hard to ignore her. I'm talking about Nesta. Sorry if you're a Nesta apologist. I am not. But anyways, I did end up finishing this book, and I did end up liking it. It wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. Like maybe I was missing maybe around 200 pages, and that's when I actually started enjoying it. So it definitely had its ups and downs. It wasn't all terrible, so I did give this 3 out of 5 stars. There is a lot of sex involved, there's a lot of smut, so for my smut lovers out there, maybe you're going to enjoy this book. If you love a good enemies to lovers or just enemies to enemies, you're gonna love this one. It felt more like fan fiction in a way, which isn't bad, but it's definitely not what I was expecting. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars for A Court of Silver Flames. This definitely could have been like 300 pages less, maybe 400 pages less. Yeah. yeah. And then I ended up rereading a favorite trilogy of mine just because I really missed this story and I missed the characters. And after reading A Court of Silver Flames, I felt like I kind of needed a reminder of why I love reading so much. So of course, whenever I'm feeling that way, I love rereading old books that I love and that made me realize why I love reading so much. And one of those series or trilogies is the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. So we have The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, which is the best one out of the three. I'm sorry, I do not make the rules. This is the best one by far. And finally, The Queen of Nothing. This reread was fantastic. I reread this with one of my friends who was reading it for the first time in his life. Seeing him fall in love with Cardan and Jude and just like being able to experience this with him for the first time, it was like on another level of happiness, and it was so fun to be back with these characters. And sometimes I feel like I always thought that rereading would be kind of boring because you already know what's going to happen. You know what's going to go down, you know how the characters are going to evolve. But for some reason, for me, this was such an interesting experience because characters like Jude and Cardan, when you first meet them, you do not understand them and you don't know where they're going. But then having already read all three and knowing the conclusion and then going back and seeing how it all started, it was so fascinating to me, and I had such a fun time reliving this story and being back with these characters. It was just I had the time of my life, honestly. 4.5 stars across the board. I think this is the only one that I gave 5 stars, the only one being The Wicked King, just because The Wicked King is like on something else, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's The Wicked King for me. If you haven't read this, The Cruel Prince follows Jude. Jude is a human girl who is being raised by fairies after her parents are murdered by fairies. So she's growing up with her twin sister in fairy world, and she has to sort of survive in this place that hates humans and sees humans as vermin, as stupid, as unworthy of being alive. So it's a very interesting story of survival and self-worth and surviving when no one wants you to, and it's amazing. It's incredible. And I also love the writing. I feel like Holly Black does a really good job at world building and character creating. She has a knack for this. The next couple of books I actually read during a manga readathon that I did with my Discord server, and the first 6 volumes are Demon Slayer. If you're new here, hi, welcome to my channel. I love Demon Slayer. It's one of my all-time favorite manga/animes. I really connect with the story, and the characters are just such a joy to read from and to read about. So this month I made my way through volumes 9 through 14, I believe. So here we have, of course, my new husband. Hi, hello. Sorry for being cringy. Then we have volume 10, volume 11, volume 12, volume 13, and volume 14. The story is definitely taking a darker twist, and I live for dark twists. I love when the story gets a lot more intense and a lot more hard for the main characters, if that makes sense. Like, of course I love my characters being happy. I want them to be happy, but it's such an interesting turn of events when they're suddenly faced with the unfaceable, because you sort of put yourself in their shoes and you sort of live this experience through them. And for me, it was just so good. It was so good. Then I read volume 16 of Fullmetal Alchemist. This is my number one, my number everything. Yeah, not the volume, but like the series in itself. Fullmetal Alchemist is what first got me into manga. It's what first got me into anime, period. And if it weren't for Fullmetal Alchemist, I don't know where I would be, honestly. Like, it's such an intrinsic part of my childhood and teenage years and now adult years. Yeah. This is also almost coming to a close. I think that there's 18 volumes like to complete the whole series, and I don't know what I'm gonna do because I've been collecting these editions for 3 years now, maybe 4, maybe even more. I don't know what I'm gonna do when volume 18 comes out and there's no more editions to collect. Like, what am I supposed to do? Apart from save money, what else am I supposed to do? I don't know. That's kind of scary, not gonna lie. Then I read the next 2 volumes of a series that I recently started, and honestly, I'm loving it so much. I am so thankful to the person that sent me volume 1 because it's slowly but surely becoming a new favorite, and it's the Spy Family series. I read volumes 2 and 3. Hi. I'm just so excited for the anime adaptation, but I am also so excited to continue on with this series because this is so funny, this is so lighthearted, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, which of course with action and fantasy manga like this, it's a very serious topic. There's like people dying, there's always battles going around, there's like demons and stuff. Here, it's a fake family that's made up of a spy, a telepath, and a murderess, and it's so random, but it works, and it's so funny, and I every second that I'm with this family and that the story just keeps on developing, I just have the best time possible. And it's just, if you want a manga that is going to make you laugh, but it also has like really amazing cast of characters, and it also has a very like gripping plot, and it's going to keep you entertained the whole way through, I would definitely recommend Spy Family. Listen, I don't want to talk about this one too much because I am pretty traumatized by this, but after Spy Family, I did read I don't want to talk about this. I read Jujutsu Kaisen, okay? I read volumes 10 through 14. Volume 10, we have 11, hi. We have volume 12, and then we have volumes 13 and volume 14, which I'm sorry, but this is my favorite. I know that number 4 has Gojo, but come on now. Anyways, if you don't know as well, Jujutsu Kaisen, I fell in love with the anime first and foremost because it was being recommended by so many people, so I was like, okay, let's give it a go. I watched the first season and just absolutely lost it. I just fell in love with every single aspect of this anime. I also found this anime when I was starting to fall back in love with this whole world. So it definitely means a lot to me. And then I started collecting the manga, and like, it's just kind of like snowballed from there because I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen also has become like such a big part of my brand because I'm always either talking about Jujutsu Kaisen or using the Jujutsu Kaisen songs, or just talking about Gojo, or talking about Sukuna. That's not Sukuna. Talking about Sukuna. It's just like, it's become such a big part of me, and these last few volumes, they destroyed me. I'm sorry, there's no sugarcoating. There's no way to make this any less awful than it is. I mean, these were all 5 stars. I'm sorry, I love Trauma apparently because I gave all of these volumes 5 stars. They deserve it, but at the same time, did I deserve this? I don't think I did. All I know is pain. Literally, all I know is pain. The last book that I read for my manga readathon was Lore Olympus Volume 1. This is actually more of a graphic novel, and this was originally a webtoon, but it was doing so well. I mean, congrats Rachel Smith. It was doing so well that they decided to do a printed edition, and the first time that I read it on webtoon, I loved it so much. We're following the Greek gods, so this is based on Greek mythology, but our main characters are Hades and Persephone. And of course, we all know the drill. Hades, Persephone, they're the queen and king of the underworld. And this is sort of like a romanticized and aesthetically pleasing sort of retelling of their story. It's such a fun experience. Like the way that Rachel Smith portrays each of the different gods, and the way that she uses color to convey sort of emotions and feelings throughout the story is so brilliant. I am a sucker for color theory, so I just love it. I had so much fun rereading this. When I read it in its original format, I loved it. But then when I read it in its print format, I just fell in love all over again. The next book that I read was... Sorry, the next book that I read was From Luca with Love by Mariana Zapata. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, but I loved this. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This was my very first Mariana Zapata book, and I read this with my Patreons for the March Buddy Read. I am so happy that my Patreons voted for this book as our March Buddy Read, because that means that I have a whole vlog dedicated to this where I'm just gushing about this book. I'm like crying, I'm screaming, I'm squealing. This book has given me so much happiness. It has given me so much serotonin. It has boosted my motivation to live. It's like making me want to live just so that I can read more books like these. This book made me feel so many things. We follow Jasmine. She is an ice skater, and for several years now she's kind of been struggling doing her routines and sort of like sticking the landing, basically, like metaphorically and also physically. She's just been struggling a lot because of some events that have transpired, and suddenly she gets this really exciting opportunity to get back on the ice rink, but she has to do it with her enemy, Ivan Lukov. Of course, we have the tension, we have the potential enemies to lovers trope. I think this was the loveliest surprise, honestly. I never thought of myself as a romance lover, but this book made me realize that I just hadn't found the right one, because when I read this, I literally read this in one sitting, because it was that good. I could not put it down. It was so addicting. It was so beautiful. I also love the exploration that Mariana Zapata does of the characters. Like, it's not only solely based on the romance, it's also based on the character development and the way that these characters are sort of dealing with their own issues, and the way that we work through them, and the way that Mariana Zapata portrays it through the writing is so beautiful. And she does it so beautifully, so fantastically, stunningly, brilliantly perfect, that I just couldn't give this book anything except 5 stars. If you want to check out my exclusive reading vlog for From Luca with Love, you are more than welcome to check out my Patreon down below. I would love if you could join us. We have a really good time reading books together and crying and screaming and all of the above. After From Lukov, I picked up a book that I didn't think I would finish on March, just because I don't know, I picked it on a whim. I didn't know how long it would take me, but it was such a magical ride. I kind of had really high expectations mixed in with really low expectations, just because friends that I'm really close with said, you're gonna hate this. But then people that I really look up to and that I feel like we have similar reading tastes, they're like, this is my favorite book of all time. So I was like, okay, where are we going to be connecting? And I'm talking about The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is my very first Erin Morgenstern book, and all I've heard of her and her writing is that it's very lyrical, it's very magical, sort of like Strange the Dreamer, and this definitely gives me Strange the Dreamer vibes. If you love Strange the Dreamer, I feel like you're going to love The Starless Sea. First of all, I have this stunning edition that my friend Fio gave me. Look at it. Oh. Yep. Spoiler alert, I loved this. It is such a weird book in the best way possible. How can I even explain this to you? I don't know, and I don't think I want to try. Like, I went into this book knowing absolutely nothing. I know I say this all of the time, but I feel like going into a book knowing absolutely nothing is the best way to experience a book, because I feel like if I would have sort of read the synopsis or read the text that is here, it wouldn't have been as impactful as it was, because I was discovering the story as I read. And I feel like that is such a luxury in today's world, where you basically know everything about a book before even picking it up, because we have communities where people talk about these books, and we have Tumblr, we have Discord, we have YouTube, we have so many places where we can be spoiled for a book. And for some reason, I didn't know anything about this book. And I feel like if I did know, I wouldn't have loved it as much as I do. Because, oh my God, this book is so good. It's so magical and it's so ridiculous, but like in the best way possible. Ridiculous in the way that my brain would have never been able to come up with this. And just reading through it, I just felt like I was going through a trip, like a spiritual trip or like a mental trip, some kind of trip. But I am so glad that I went on this trip because I loved this so much. It means so much to me. This was such a wonderful reading experience, and if you haven't read The Starless Sea, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for a one-of-a-kind type of book. So many people have compared The Starless Sea to Piranesi, and I have been meaning to read this book for the longest time. So of course, right after I finished The Starless Sea, I was like, I need another book like this. I need to read more books that make me feel this way. So of course, I went ahead and picked up Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and let me tell you, oh my God, this is another one of those books that I am so glad I knew nothing about, because oh my God, like when I don't want to say anything. I literally do not want to say anything. I want to thank everyone who recommended this book to me, because oh my God, this book left me gasping for breath. It left me reeling. It left me being like, what am I reading? It left me feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe what's going on. Like I felt so many things reading this book. And when I started reading it, it is a bit slow, I will give you that, but it all makes sense. Like, oh my, when the piece, I literally do not want to say anything at all, because Piranesi is the type of book that you just need to go in blind. I can vouch for this book. I can vouch for how good this book is. just if you trust me, pick up Piranesi. Also, if you like The Starless Sea, pick up Piranesi. Like, come on now, come on. Trust, if you can't trust me, trust The Starless Sea. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. After my first book, which was A Court of Silver Flames, that was 3 stars. But after A Court of Silver Flames, all of the books that I read are 4.5 or above. I'm sorry, but who's doing it like me? Absolutely no one. So if you're ever looking for book recommendations, you know where to go. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I hope you're not sick. That would be awful. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, except maybe Nesta. I'm sorry, that's very petty of me, but if there's one person that I would wish this sickness other than myself, it'd be Nesta. Let me know how your reading month went. Let me know what your new favorite book is. If you saw any books that you read on my wrap up, or if there's any on your to be read list that now is going to be bumped up because of my stellar review, just let me know. Let me know anything you want in the comments below. I always love talking to you guys so much. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated, and don't get sick. Please, I do not recommend. 0 out of 5 stars on Yelp. So I'm gonna go back to watching my reality show, but once again, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.